I'm currently working on a bigger video right now, so I thought I'd give you this little retrospective to tide you guys over while I'm working on that much bigger project. So I went to the Cannes Film Festival this year. It was a pretty fun experience, and I got to see some good movies and some even some familiar faces. I arrived on the Thursday of May 16th, when the festival was still kind of happening, so there were some screenings I didn't get to attend, like Furiosa or a couple of the other early ones, but I did get to see some good stuff though that I think is worth mentioning around here. So I already logged some of these movies on my Letterboxd page recently, so I'm not going to go into super lengthy detail on all of them because if you want to hear some additional thoughts on them, you can subscribe to my Letterboxd page. But for right now, I'll give you some more background on like my experience with all these movies. The first movie I tried to see was This Life of Mine, which I did not realize when I was looking on the website, because the thing is that the Cannes Film Festival website, the tickets on there sell really fast. So when I was trying to get a hold of any of them, it was a pretty bad process to try to get any of the tickets. So I just tried to get as many as I could possibly, which would have been only two that total trip. So I got one on Thursday, which was a French film called This Life of Mine, and I did get Megalopolis for Friday the next day. And so This Life of Mine was the first ticket I got, or I reserved, and I did not actually finish this movie. And the reason for that is I did not realize that on the website it clearly showed that it was a French only movie and that there would be no English subtitles. So I don't usually like to walk out of movies while they're premiering, especially at a festival, but I just was not really getting anything out of the experience since I could not really understand what they were saying. But that's kind of on me because I'm still not very fluent in French. I'm getting to know it a little bit, but I still gotta learn a bit more, even after my trip to France this year. So the first movie I actually sat through the entirety of is The Invasion, which was a movie about the Ukrainian-Russian conflict that's been going on in real life. So it's definitely a slow burn. I'd probably compare it to something like The Zone of Interest, if I'm being honest, in that it's going to be a movie that's going to bore a lot of people. It's a very slow movie, but if you are okay with slow movies, then I think this will do something for you. And the next morning I saw The Second Act, which was a comedy drama film about these actors who are auditioning or sort of preparing themselves for a film that they're currently starring in. And so it obviously shows them kind of going off each other, arguing, belittling one another, but there's also some good emotional stuff in it too. There's some very good performances. It's pretty funny, and it got me to laugh pretty hard at points. And this is an entirely French film as well, but thankfully it did have English subtitles, so I don't regret seeing it. It didn't quite stick the landing for me, but I think that before that, I thought it had some very strong dialogue, again, some very strong performances, and yeah, I'd be good with seeing it again someday. And then next up, I saw the big meat and potatoes of the whole festival. I saw Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis. So this was a very interesting, experience for me. Because, obviously, I did not go to the first ever screening of it. I did not attend the premiere of it, but I attended one of the subsequent screenings at the festival. Because, obviously the tickets would probably go out for literally 2 seconds after they're available online for the premiere. But I did get the other screening for a subsequent screening for it the day after. And so this was an interesting movie, I think, in that there's some bad publicity before it with over some bad reviews it was getting and saying it was a disaster and whatnot. And so the way, if you want some more details on it, obviously check out my Letterboxd review. I went into big detail on that, but for right now, I'll say that it was definitely such a bizarre film in this current landscape of cinema and Hollywood and whatever. It was fully financed by Coppola himself, $125 million he himself took out of his pocket. And so it was, yeah, I mean, it was definitely a very flawed movie. Some stuff I was actually kind of some stuff that was definitely taking me out of the experience a lot of times. A lot of things that will rub people the wrong way, absolutely. But there was some absolutely great stuff in it, I think. Like, obviously, some of the visuals were very good. Some of the other visuals were very bad. Some very bad green screen at some points, and some very awkward and unnatural dialogue coming from the actors. And I also didn't really buy Adam Driver as this sort of brilliant, sort of like genius who wanted to create this utopia of New York and, make it into this megalopolis as the movie implies. But, it was still, I mean, again, I'm just kind of glad that a movie like this can exist in some way. It's certainly interesting to, be able to watch something like this that would absolutely never be made in the current Hollywood landscape. It reminded me of Babylon, the Damien Chazelle movie from 2022, because that was clearly a bombastic, long, sort of movie with like lots of things that will make people uncomfortable. There's like literally like a sex innuendo joke thrown at like during like one of these like these sisters of, I think, Shia LaBeouf's character or something, or with these two girls that are like basically making out with Shia LaBeouf. By the way, Shia LaBeouf is absolutely great in this movie. Like, goes out all bonkers, over the top, but in the best way possible. I think he was easily the best actor in the movie, and all the acting is good. I'd say that Adam Driver and his character and his love interest had good chemistry, but I wish that their relationship was just a little bit more developed. And also, a lot of things are going to throw people off guard. There's some great like visual sequences though, like there's the circus sequence that was really well done during like I think around the second act of the movie. Like, it was very visually insane, like very colorful. The camera movement was insane and like very interesting to look at. So I definitely did not regret seeing this, and I certainly did not hate it. I know a lot of people who walked out of it really didn't like it, but honestly, if for all the crap I've seen all these past few years of catching up on recent movies, I'll appreciate anything that throws stuff at the wall to see what sticks, but has some good stuff, even if it has some really bad stuff, over just movies that are so contrived and studio manufactured and just sludge. Then after that, I saw The Damned, which I don't really remember much about as of now. It was just kind of whatever. The Damned, I think it was like a Western about father and son, from what I remember, but I don't remember if that's the case. But it was, I don't know, just kind of forgettable. It was well shot, well acted, but it just didn't really do anything that surprised or wowed me. Then after that, I saw The Surfer, the new Nicolas Cage movie, directed by Lorcan Finnegan. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But it was a really, really fun ride. It was like definitely this bonkers tale. So basically, Nick Cage plays this like father who's trying to bring his son out to the beach they grew up on, and he finds out there's like this whole like clan of like these really buff guys who are just telling him to F off because it's their beach now. And he also wants to buy a house there too, because he grew up on that beach, like I said before, and like obviously like his son just kind of disinterested, and he still is really insistent on going on this beach and whatever. And, he basically kind of throws everything he has to the wayside, and he basically just becomes a bum at the end, or near the end at least. I won't give away too much, but like, let's just say like he basically makes himself out to be the biggest idiot on earth in this movie. And it gives a pretty insane Nicolas Cage performance, and I know that's what everyone loves to see. It was a really funny movie and very, very well acted, and it also went in a lot of interesting directions that I'm glad it went. And I was still a little conflicted on the ending at first, like I am for a lot of good movies, but it definitely bought me over. It definitely bought me, as the films simmered in my head. And yeah, I mean, it was just a really surprising ending, and Yeah, I mean, really funny and honestly kind of bonkers at times. There's this like subplot with like the whole clan that's trying to get them to get off their beach is like kind of turns out to be kind of a cult sort of. That's really funny. So yeah, absolutely what I love to see from a modern Nick Cage movie. I can't wait to see it again. And so the last movie I saw at the film festival, and certainly not the least, is Kinds of Kindness. It was the new Yorgos Lanthimos movie. So this was his latest movie coming off of Poor Things, and he also directed stuff like The Favorite and Killing of a Sacred Deer. I haven't seen all of his movies, but I really did love Poor Things, and that was one of my favorite movies last year. So I was really interested in this new movie, and the thing that I think you probably should know going into this is this is not a period piece like The Favorite or even Poor Things. This is more of a contemporary set film, and it's actually an anthology, so it consists of like 3 different stories. None of them are connected, but they all mostly share the same actors. The first one is, I mean, I won't give away any of the anthology segments, but I will say that all of them really intrigued me. The first one got a little while to get me sort of like really into it because it's very like, I think it has a certain style of like kind of awkwardness. I think it's kind of funny. Like the actors and characters, they don't talk in a way that sounds natural. But I think it's intentional in this case, as opposed to Megalopolis, where we're supposed to be kind of a weird, sort of like David Lynch, universe where characters just don't talk supernaturally. But I think it kind of adds to the humor and enjoyment of it. And yeah, I mean, it was definitely, I won't give anything else away, but my favorite segment of them all was the second one easily. And fun fact, one of the main actors in this is, I forget his name, but it's the actor who plays like Wade in Elemental. So like every time he showed up on screen, I was like, oh look, it's Wade from Elemental. So that was pretty fun. Willem Dafoe, really great in all the segments he was in. Jesse Plemons is the real star of the show, though. I think he's definitely like the main like actor throughout the first 2 segments. Emma Stone becomes more of a sort of the protagonist of the third, anthology segment. But yeah, I mean, all the performances were great. Emma Stone is really great as always. I can't wait to see more of her, and she's gonna be collaborating with Lanthimos again, which like I'm absolutely stoked for that. And Jesse Plemons, he absolutely stole the show. The second one was about the second one was very weird as well. I mean, these are all very weird stories. So if you like weird stories, you'll like this. But obviously not going to be for everyone. But in the second one, he's basically kind of convinced that his wife, who returned from a beach that she was uncharted on, isn't her actual wife. So something kind of comes up with that, and that was really interesting. That kind of, again, like to bring up the whole David Lynch comparison, like this definitely reminded me of that a lot. And then the third segment is definitely a little confusing to follow at first, but it definitely won me over near the end, though. It's another kind of cultish story that, you'll either be okay with or takes a little, it's a bit of a thinker, it takes a little while to process everything that's going on. But as far as I would rank the segments, it would be either it would absolutely be 2, 1, and then 3. The third one is my least favorite segment, but I still think it's pretty strong. And again, I think this is definitely one that will require another viewing for me to truly, grasp everything that's happening. But it really is just such an interesting project, a nearly 3-hour anthology movie that I'm so glad Lanthimos is able to make at this day and age, thanks to his Poor Things Best Picture nominee. And so I'd say that's my favorite film of the festival as well. It was just a great time overall. I loved Cannes. It's my favorite town I've been to in all of France. Even more so than anything like Paris or Marseille and whatnot. It was just a really good experience, and I actually got to meet Carson Runquist there, so that was pretty cool. I didn't get to see any big celebrities there because I didn't attend any specific premieres, but I did get to see the megalopolis sort of like premiere where like I didn't get to go anywhere near it, but like I took pictures of like the screen that they were projecting it on. They were recording the premiere, and so there's a giant screen looming over like one of the buildings that I got to record, so that was cool. France, beautiful place. In case you ever want to know how to get to Cannes Film Festival one day without booking a ticket explicitly there, is just go to a film school and hope that they offer a program where they go to France and that it's during the spring and that they go to Cannes and they happen to go to Cannes as well. Just make sure you're a film student that applies to study abroad. That's my best advice I can give you.